Israel. And it has many names. And it appears in the Bible the first time when Abraham went up and took Lot and his family back. They had been captured by the enemy. And then when he came back, he went to Salem and gave tithes to Melchizedek. That was the first mention of Jerusalem in the Bible. Jerusalem has many names. Mount Moriah, Mount Zion, the holy city, the city of gold, the city of our King, the city of our God, the city of David. Yes, Jerusalem is also called the city of David. Jerusalem is the joy of the whole earth. In 8 places in Deuteronomy, it says, God shall choose and put his name there. It also appears in 1st and 2nd Kings. In Genesis 22:2, get thee unto this place in the land of Moriah. Abraham was to go and sacrifice Isaac, his son. And in Chronicles, 2nd Chronicles 3:11, Solomon began to build the temple in Mount Moriah. God has put his name in the land there in Israel. Each of you, if you look through the papers that you have, you will see this. Everyone get this? This, if you look, you see the shaded areas? You see here, and it comes up here and over here. It makes an alpha character in the Hebrew alphabet. That's their alphabet. It makes a shin. And they use that shin on their mezuzahs. And this shin stands for Elohim, the gods, plural. Anything in Hebrew that ends with I am is plural. This is the alpha character for God. I took Hebrew in 84 and 85. I went to Israel. We had a day off. We went to take a tour of the Temple Mount. And they showed topography. And as I sat there, I saw the shaded area. I saw the shin. I said, that's where God put his name. And the tour guide, she says, yes, we know it. Just like everybody knew where God put his name. You know, it's still there. They've razzed Jerusalem many times, and they've filled in the middle valley. They call it the valley. It was the Tyropian Valley, Valley of the Cheesemakers. Now, that's a keepsake for you. But God is so good. He loves Israel. He loves Jerusalem. There's nothing that he loves better. He tells us to pray for that country. And he tells us that he's coming back there. God chose that city, and there's been many wars over Jerusalem. Many, many wars. In 1948, Israel became a state. It was okayed by the United Nations. They voted on it. And what happened? The British would not allow Israel to have any arms. If they found them with arms, they took it away from them. Now, in 48, 5 countries that had armies went to war against Israel. We had Iran, Egypt, Libya, Iran, Egypt, and Jordan. And they went to war. They had told their citizens, the Arab citizens, to leave Israel, that they would take it in 2 weeks, and when they came back from Jordan, they could claim all the land and possessions of the Jewish people. Well, they sort of forgot one thing. God loves Jerusalem. And the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he was on Israel's side. Israel took back half of Jerusalem. And Transjordan, well, Jordan took what is now known as the West Bank. It was called Transjordan for many years. It never belonged to the Palestinian Liberation Organization. They weren't even started until 1964. And in 1967 was the Six-Day War. That's when the nations went up against Israel on the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur. But we know what happened. They took Sinai, and they took all of Israel Jerusalem back and all of Transjordan. And they did it in 6 days. We know what happened to Sinai, the peace treaty that they went through in the 80s. They gave all the Sinai back, even though they had beautiful hotels there. And they had discovered oil in the Sinai. But they gave it back. I liked in '06, there was a big sign down in a hotel. It was very large. And it showed an Indian with his pigtails and a feather out of his head. And he has tears rolling down his cheeks. And it said, "Ask me about land for peace." I thought how apropos that is. What they did to the Indians. My grandmother was Cherokee Indian, and she told me some of the things they did to her. She had 3 children of her own and 3 stepchildren. And her husband died. They had a 40-acre farm. She had to leave. When she got back from the funeral, the sheriff was at her house, and he said, "Indians can't own land." They kicked her out with what she could put on a wagon. So let's get on with this. Yeah.